Alright guys, this one's going to be a little bit out of order. The customer can't leave the vehicle with me very long, so I'm going to have to go ahead and just get this bumper painted. Kind of cross my fingers that it'll fit. I got the best bumper I could get. It's Keystone Platinum Plus, Kappa certified, so I'm going to go ahead and get it cut out and see if there's any damage to it. Don't think there is, but we'll have to check it and see and go from there. Everything appears to be okay. This was the only one they could get me. They actually told me they had it. Went to pick it up, paid for it, and they went to go pull the thing out of the warehouse, and they couldn't find it. So it's the only one I can get. So it's gonna have to work. Looks good though. Got to get a little bit of the tape adhesive off there. And the thing's actually pretty large. There's the Kappa seal there. There's the part number. This is just a standard Camaro. It's either an LS or LT, can't remember, but the bumper is just a standard base Camaro that doesn't have the little vent thing in the front here. I'm going to get the adhesive off. I'm going to try some alcohol first. If that won't work, I'll go to a wax and grease remover, final clean, just to see if maybe that'll take it off. I don't want to take any of the primer off trying to get that off. Everything else looks good. I'm going to have to replace that lower grill. I think it was broken before this happened, but I'm going to replace it anyway because I don't want to transfer a broken grill to this bumper. You'll see on the car it's cracked through here. The customer hit a deer. It's cracked all along the front. So I'm going to transfer the original grill and the bow tie into this, and I'm going to put a new grill in the bottom. It's cracked somewhere right in here. I'm gonna get this cleaned up and start getting it scuffed. Alright, I've got it all scuffed down with a red Scotch-Brite. I'm gonna go back over it with some 400 grit on DA, just in the big open areas. There's a lot of trash in this primer, especially right in here. And you can see, maybe you can see that, see all the texture in this primer. And that Scotch-Brite just scuffs it. It doesn't actually level anything. So I'm gonna run over this, get all this texture out that I can without cutting through the primer. And I need to check the value shade on the paint. I'll go do that real quick. If it's a value shade 6 or 7, I'm just going to spray right directly onto this. This is a value shade 7. See that 7 right there? So the dark gray sealer that I keep, the 7770, is so dark that it's about the same color is what you get with the primer. It's black, but it's, or you know, you think it's black, but it's really not. So that's pretty close. I can just go straight to base coat with this. It is metallic though, so it might not hurt to put a coat of sealer, but it depends on how this primer goes. I'm gonna sand through this. Just try to get it smooth in the open areas where you're gonna be able to tell it, especially up here at the top. It's ready to paint now, but it'd be really rough if I left all that texture in it, and it's going to look like trash in the paint. So I'm going to go through and just hit this with a DA, and should be ready to go then. I'll decide if I want to seal it at that point or not. Alright, I've got a fresh piece of 400 and a soft interface pad, and this is my 3/16 stroke DA. You can see that maybe on the handle right in here. 5mm 3/16 orbit. Gives you finer finish. It's more for paint prep or color sanding. I'm gonna go over these areas. I've got the soft pad so that I don't cut through any of the body lines too easily, and I got the pressure turned down on the sander. stay away from this edge and this one here. I'm probably going to put adhesion promoter on it anyway, just because I like to put some on front bumpers just to give it a little more bite. Just going to get rocks and bug damage. I'm going to go through, and as soon as the primer gets flat, I'm going to stop so I don't cut through it. I'm going to go around the rest of it, and I'll be back when it's ready to paint. Alright, I've got a little bit of old Toyota base coat mixed up just to get this thing started. I only bought a pint of paint for this, and the bumper is fairly large. I've also got a repair to the right quarter panel I need to do on the same car. It's completely unrelated, but there's a several-year-old repair on the quarter that failed, and the filler's cracked and coming off the car. So I'm going to put one coat, at least trim this bumper with the old base I've got, and whatever's left I'll put a first coat on with that, and try to save what I can for the quarter. I'm going to have to paint most of the quarter and do a blend up the C pillar. Well, I guess it'd be the B pillar on this thing actually. I'm going to get this tacked off one more time and get some base on it. Alright, that's all I had mixed up. I'm going to go mix up the other real color for it. This is the first coat of GM base. I'm not too worried about going underneath it. You'll never see that, and I've got a couple coats of that other gray under there. I'm gonna let that flash off for just a little while. Put one more coat, and probably a drop coat, at least on the very top and the side, so I can match the fenders in the hood. All right, this is the first coat of clear with flex additive. Gonna get one more. Come back when I'm done. All right, this is 2 coats of clear with flex additive in it. Turned out pretty nice. There's a little bit of dust in it I'll have to buff out, mostly in the most visible areas at the top. But for the most part, it's got a nice finish on it at least. I'm gonna put the lower grill in it. Today is Thursday. I'm going to try to install this on Saturday if they can leave the car just for a few hours. I'm going to go ahead and put the bottom grill in it that I bought to replace the original. So I'll have to get the other bumper off, transfer the fog light pocket fillers and the main grill, and then get this thing on the car. Car should be here shortly. That'll be next. All right, car got here a few hours ago. I'm just now getting around to it. It's about almost 11 o'clock at night now. Trying to do this in the next couple hours and get it done. Have it set out for them to pick up tomorrow. You can see most of the damage is in here, but now that I'm looking at this, it looks like this bumper has been either replaced or repainted maybe one other time. Maybe not, but paint's cracked all over here. You see cracks in it. Maybe hard to see. You can see it there, all the little cracks all the way across. I think this is still going to work. The grill and the bow tie I think are okay, but this is the grill that was broken down here. Got a broken rib in it. They said that was already there before this even happened, but I don't want to transfer that to the other bumper, so I just went ahead and bought another one since it'll be out anyway. I'm going to go through and get all these little push clips out. And there's a bolt right there. That's part of the bumper. It's on the new one too, so I know that that'll have to come off. Then I'll go underneath after I get all that off, and I'll probably have to lift it up to get underneath it. Okay, it's off. Ended up having to take a couple of clips out of each inner fender liner so I could get back behind the fender. And there were 3 bolts one here, here, and somewhere down here. There were 3 along the front edge of the fender on either side. And these 4 pins, these 2 at the top and these 2 along the side go in these 4 holes. They're located. And then it just bolts in 3 places. The side markers popped out from back here. Just a little tab that pops out, and then it comes out of this slot in the front. And then I unplugged it. That's this harness here. It goes up to the side marker. And they've run a harness all the way through here. So it comes in from the car here and then comes off to each side marker. Goes along the, this is the reinforcement impact absorber. So I've got to get that out, transfer it over, and also this grill, and reset the bow tie into that grill. It looks like it's okay, but that pin popped out there. I'm not sure why they didn't just run side marker harnesses coming off each end, why they had to tie it into the front of the car. It doesn't really make any sense. That's just one more place that could get damaged when the car's in a wreck. And it also creates the need to unplug it here to pull the bumper off. So if it was just the 2 ends coming off the car itself and you unplug those, the whole thing would come off. That really didn't make a lot of sense. I'm sure there's some reason. Maybe they did that for just a single way to plug in the factory, just to run fog lights and everything else here in one big assembly on the bumper and just put the whole thing on. But could have been simpler to take apart. I'm gonna dig this off here. The looks like the impact absorber is mounted to the grill, so it's got to come off first. Then I get this grill out. I've also got to get these fog light fillers out of there too. But I've already got the other grill in here. I'm gonna go ahead and take these parts off, transfer them over, and get after putting it on the car here. All right, I've got it built up. I went ahead and put these, this marker in. I got to do the other one, but this can be plugged into the marker and left here. This whole harness can stay in the bumper. I didn't know that at the time until I went to pull the bumper off and had to unplug it here. I just assumed this was coming from the car when it's coming from the actual bumper itself. So I'm gonna put this lens back in, but I just realized there's some threaded lugs here, and there's a hole on the bumper over here that they just local body shop that was working on this, one that I've talked about before. There's a bolt that goes through this hole into the bumper, and you can see behind there, I looked back there with a mirror, there's a mark where a bolt used to be there. So when they had this bumper off the last time, they just left that out. And actually when I went to take these screws out of the fender liner, this one up here is missing. The bottom one was tight, but this one here was just threaded in a couple threads, like they just got it started and never did tighten it. They left the bolt out of this side too. So I'm going to add bolts when I put it back on. It's just lazy. That's about right for that shop though. This is what they did. I told you I had to repair, and it's been rusting for a while, I'm sure. I think that's probably why this popped off, is because it rusted underneath it and pushed the filler off the car. And I can see marks here, and there's filler here obviously, and I see some marks back here. A little bit of a repair map right there. So I know there's filler all in here, and I think the customer told me that whenever they had this done, there was damage all along the side. So she's probably going to bring this thing back later on for this. They didn't have time to leave it for all of this right now. But anyway, that's the kind of work they do. So I'm going to have to fix that too. But I'm going to add some bolts back to this. I think everything's transferred over. I do have to take these little speed nuts off, put those on the other one. But everything over here is built into the replacement, so I don't have to take any of that out. There is some trim up here, I just remembered. There's a little garnish along the top that's riveted in with plastic rivets, so I'm probably going to just cut those off back here, just either cut it or whatever to get it off of there, and just put it back in with some push clips that I've got for small holes. I'm going to get the rest of this put off of here and put on this one. I'll be ready to go back on the car. All right, I've got her back together. Actually fit pretty well. Gap's really tight in the front, but there's nothing I can do about that. That's just the way it's going to fit. Fit up great over here. All the bolts lined up. There's 2 bolts underneath. They go in the subframe. Those lined right up. Need to buff it now, but I'm going to wait till tomorrow. It's about 12:30 now, a.m. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow afternoon. I've got another car coming tomorrow that I've got to work on with the customer. So I'll do this after that. I just need to get this done by tomorrow night. But at least I've got it all together. I need to wipe it down real good with a wet microfiber. I may wash it off first a little bit before I do that. Then I just need to buff mainly the top edge here that's visible. And then anything along here, along this angled portion right in the front. And I know I've got one dust nib right there I'm going to have to get. But anywhere else it's obvious, I'll do that. But I'm not going to worry about from here down. I'll be back when I get done buffing it and let you see the final product before it leaves.